Welcome to On Your Own Terms. I'm Patti Talbot, and this is the place where we learn together how to change the world on our own terms and in our own special ways. Today, I'm taking a break from my usual show format where I highlight the change-making work of the many amazing women I know who are truly and profoundly changing the world on their own terms. I love bringing these inspiring stories to you week after week because I'm so fortunate to have the opportunity to meet these kinds of people who are using their special gifts to bring positive social and environmental changes to the world we share. This time, I want to give you the opportunity to ponder your own potential as a change maker and to think about the ways that Mother Nature supports each of us in our efforts to heal ourselves, one another, and the planet that we share. Not long ago, I had an experience that awakened me to this fact in a profound way. It was one of those moments when I happened to notice something that I could have easily missed. It happened on a day when I was really upset. I was upset about something that had happened. I'm not going to go into the particulars of the upsetting event. You can read about that in my book at a later date. But here's what happened that really shook me up and taught me something. I was really upset about something that had happened, and I really wanted to just pout about it. So I did what I often do when I'm feeling a slump. I go out to our family lake place and I climb the stairs to the dock that adjoins this little patch of heaven at Claytor Lake, close to Pulaski, Virginia, about 25 minutes from where I live here in the United States. As I start walking across the dock toward the couch where I'm planning to get my good cry on, something catches my eye. Now, I almost miss it. It's a thin strand of silk that's barely visible, but a glint of light catches that filament and my eye at just the right moment to force me to notice. I stop just in time to avoid breaking the strand as it billows gently with the movement of the air. And then I follow the strand, first with my eye, and then with my whole body as I walk to the other side of the dock to find out where it ends. 30 feet away, this strand of silk is attached with sticky determination to the railing of the dock. I move diagonally back across the decking to find the same is true at the other end. It's stuck there, one end on one side of the dock and the other on the other. And I get puzzled. I get confused. What miracle of nature has put it there? My destination, the couch, is on the other side of that strand of silk. That gray couch is beckoning me because I feel like I have some important crying to do. Do you know that feeling? So I take a breath and I break through the spider web that's blocking my way, but I'm confused. I can't get it off of my mind. How can a spider do that? There's no way it could jump that far from one side of the dock to the other. So I try to get my good cry going, but I'm distracted by what I've just seen. And suddenly I'm much less interested in myself and what's been bothering me. Wallowing has been on my agenda, but now I feel a little bit of annoyance that I have nothing to do but go and find out more about spiders. How do they build those miraculous webs, especially those across great distances? So I head back up to the house and I find my computer and I do some research on spiders. And it turns out that the wind is the spider's greatest helpmate. Spiders float upon the breeze while releasing sticky silk from their bodies gradually, a little bit at a time, until they reach their destinations. They could never do their work without the wind supporting them, and their journey to connect two objects so very far away would never be complete if nature, the wind, was not at their backs, carrying them. Wow. I'm just blown away by that. Has something like that ever happened to you? Have you ever been interrupted in your self-absorbed thinking by an observation that awes you to the point of distraction? Nature has a way of making herself known to us, even when we are deep inside our own misery. It might be a spider web, it might be a thunderstorm, or a howl in the distance, or some other piece of nature that interrupts us. On this particular day, I was grieving a tragic performance. I sought refuge by the lake in the woods all alone, my favorite place for feeling into my misery. I needed to lick my wounds and get over the shame I felt after public embarrassment that left me feeling vulnerable and incompetent. Sometimes for me, staring at lapping water and big, silent green mountains is the only thing to do. What about you? Where do you go when you feel just miserable? Do you crawl in bed and pull the covers over your head? Do you call a friend? Or do you prefer to suffer in silence? For me, it's the lake. This moment got me thinking about how nature supports us in our healing and about how each of us has our own unique way of getting ourselves started again when we are down in the dumps. I have a system that works for me. It worked for me that day, and it never fails me when I need it. My system is captured in something you've probably heard before from me: being, doing, connecting, and reflecting. BDCR. BDCR. When I was in a funk that day, the spider web brought me back to myself enough to remember what I needed to do. I needed to first take care of my being. I needed a nap, a massage, a walk in nature, and a good meal. Then I needed to do something that reminded me that even when I screw up, I still have skills that are useful in the world. I took the steps I needed to take, and this time that was to make an apology. And after that, I was ready to move on to the C, connect, or reconnect in this case, with the people who make me feel strong and competent and worthwhile, and people who bring a new perspective to what's going on with me. That's my patchwork, remember? I have a few great friends in my life that know just what I need to hear when I'm at my most vulnerable, even when what I need to hear is not necessarily what I want to hear. Then I needed the R. I needed to reflect inwardly on what I had learned from my mistake, so that then I could reflect outwardly what it is I stand for and who I want to be in the world. Writing about and sharing about my learning and mistakes with others is one of the ways that I consciously try to be a better example of how to be a change maker. It isn't about being perfect or getting it right all the time. In fact, I found that one of my best characteristics is my ability and willingness to be vulnerable in public. I've noticed that when I do that, the people around me are often even more willing to let their own learnings and vulnerabilities show too. In that way, we're able to learn not only from our own hard lessons, but the lessons learned from those around us. What a gift that can be to others. So that's my system: be, do, connect, reflect. It guides my schedule every day, my daily routines, my research on how to be a change maker, the questions I ask of others when they're guests on this show too. If you've been tuning into my show, I hope you'll recognize the framework or that system I use to guide my life and help me understand the change-making work I see in others in the world. You've heard me talk about beingness, doingness, connectedness, reflectiveness, and more recently, consciousness. In fact, the very structure that I use to conduct my weekly interviews with our special guests relies on these big ideas too. I ask guests to share their homegrown roots with us, the core of their beingness, in other words, how they got to be the way they are. I ask them to share their doingness in terms of the issues that matter to them and what they're doing to engage around those issues. Then I ask them to talk about the patchwork. That's my way of getting to their connectedness. How are these change makers intentionally connecting with people and ideas outside their typical comfort zone? From there, I ask them to reflect on how they hope their work will ripple out and make the world a better place. What are they consciously trying to reflect into the world for the good of all of us? Beingness, doingness, connectedness, reflectiveness, consciousness. Do you hear the suffix that ends each one of those words? NESS? I've recently come to call my method the NESS Method. The NESS Method is a simple way of thinking about ourselves and our work in the world so that we remember to honor our nature and use our energy as individuals while accepting the stories that inform our lives and develop simple systems that work for us to be our healthiest, most effective, and productive selves. My NESS method amuses me because it reminds me of a movie from nearly 20 years ago that became a little joke in our family. In the 2006 film, You, Me, and Dupree, the Owen Wilson character Dupree starts out as an amiable screw-up interrupting the life of his newlywed best friend, who often wins his way back into his life by referring to his friend's Carlness. By the end of the film, Dupree is a renowned author and public speaker, encouraging his audiences to find their inner Ness. I'm going to show you a trailer for that movie now so you get the gist of it.
I love you, Molly. And I promise you, I'm not going anywhere.
My work is done here!
It's a magic number. Yeah, it is. It's a magic number. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 3 is
Go! Go one direction! Go down there! You get it! What is it?
There were 3 in the family. And that's the magic number.
Yeah!
Life may knock you down. Scratch that.
I'm okay.
Life will knock you down, okay? It'll kick you in the gut and knock you to the curb, but you can't let it rob you of your NESS. Now, what's NESS? It's your name plus NESS. You, sir, white-haired gentleman, what's your name?
My name's Joe.
No, it's Joe NESS. You follow me? Listen to me. Hang on to that. And as long as you do, you'll always be ready. Because when that moment comes, and trust me, it will come, that's when you start throwing 7 different kinds of smoke.
The mothership needs you! Paco! Hit it! Busted.
This here's a cheer for all the fellas. Try to do what those ladies tell us. Kick shot down because you're overzealous.
Pretty delightful, right? And even though it's said in jest, I actually connected with the idea in a big way early on and found that there are elements of truth. As is often the case with comedy and art, they speak to something very wise and true at their heart, even a comedy film like You, Me, and Dupree. So with a chuckle and a nod to Owen Wilson and the writers of the film You, Me, and Dupree, I developed my own NESS method that came from my inner NESS after recognizing that using that suffix NESS in my signature changemaker framework to turn the verbs in my model into nouns cued my clients to embrace the strategies that I recommend as parts of themselves and the ways they operate more functionally in daily life, even when challenges plot to interrupt their plans or my plans. The NESS method allows us to embrace our uniqueness while creating an intentional system for change that impacts the world in a positive way. Each week, I share some things with you about my me-ness that I hope will help you to develop your own you-ness, while you appreciate the himness and herness and theyness of the people in your life as well, and the usness and we-ness of those who share the planet with us. The letters in NESS, for me, represent N for nature. What makes me uniquely me and you uniquely you? What's your homegrown beingness, your nature? E is for energy. How do you use your energy to do the work that matters to you and create the solutions you see as necessary for a better world? S is for your stories that connect you to others and honor your unique contributions to and learnings from the rich patchwork of diversity. The second S in NESS is for your system, the system that works for you to live your life productively. I like to offer mine in case it's inspirational to you, but never would I ask you to adopt my system wholeheartedly without question, because your nature, your energy, and your stories inform the system for living a meaningful life that you create for yourself. Your nature, your energy, your stories, and your system create your NESS, your Sebastian-ness, your Jean-ness, your Tammy-ness, your Mariah-ness, your Janine-ness, your Joanne-ness, just to call out a few of my regular, most loyal watchers and people who show up to my show each week. Each have their uniqueness that makes our conversations together rich and rewarding week after week. Every week, I share something of my NESS with you and something of the NESS of my special guests. And in this way, we're engaging in something beautiful together on your own terms, on my own terms, and on our own terms. So today I'm launching new opportunities for my followers, my viewers, and friends to rise into your uniqueness so the world can see you rise into the fullness of your nature in a way that celebrates your NESS and serves the world on your own terms. One of the things about my Pattiness is that I often entertain myself by playing with words. Long ago, I named the education arm of Blue Roads Education Changemaker U, as in Changemaker YOU, Changemaker University. It was intended to be cute, but also meaningful to people who gather with me and work together to develop our attributes as changemakers. When it came time to name the coaching arm of my work, I wanted to stick with Changemaker U. So Changemaker U evolved into CU, CYOU, the letters CYOU, rise, and later into the words CU, rise, to become more literal by sharing that the goal in my work these days is to see women rise into their full potential as changemakers on their own terms, in their own unique ways. So today I'm inviting you to learn more about how CU Rise coaching might help you rise into your fullness, your greatness, your uniqueness as a person called to a bigger purpose to change the world on your own terms. If you are a committed and focused and purpose-driven person who feels called to make the world a better place, then CU Rise can support you in your journey with some new tools for your backpack that will be useful to you along the path. The problem is that a lot of women who feel such a calling are already spread too thin, and possibly they're too exhausted to be able to see any way to make their dreams a reality. It's true, women have more voice, more choice, better education, and more financial independence than ever before in our history. In fact, at the 2009 Vancouver Peace Conference, the Dalai Lama said the world will be saved by the Western woman. But how can we save the world if we're too worn out from being all things to all people all the time? Fortunately, I've found a partner in the work that I started in Blue Roads. And that partner is an organization called One of Many, based in the United Kingdom. One of Many brings a new set of power tools to the women of the world so they can take care of the day-to-day and rise on their own terms and change the world in their own unique ways using their unique gifts and talents. If you're looking for a way out of overwhelm and on to a new, more effective path to fullness, then I encourage you to check out the One of Many tool called the Overwhelm First Aid Kit. You can find it on my homepage at blueroadseducation.org. Managing overwhelm and avoiding or recovering from burnout is the first step to see you rise into the full potential of who you are, who you want to be, and who you can be. I hope you'll take this step by grabbing your Overwhelm First Aid Kit. And if you like what you see, go join the One of Many community. There's a Facebook group that's free and full of amazing, supportive women, as well as ideas and tools to help you rise into your full potential as a change maker. We need you, change maker you, your nature, your energy, your stories, and your system. Your NESS acting in full consciousness is what will serve you well in addressing the challenges that conspire to tie you down from the life you were meant to live. Your NESS is what will make you better able to do something the world needs, something that only you can deliver. Your NESS allows you to interact with my NESS and her NESS and his NESS and their NESS in a way that will eventually make the world work better for our NESS and usness. When you go out into the world to do your thing, you learn new things, you meet new people, and you develop new skills that you bring back home to help you live in your fullest effectiveness on your home turf. When you struggle and love and persuade and cajole your challenges at home, you're building the muscles, the empathy, the call to advocacy that makes you go out there to raise your voice again in the service of the issues that matter most to you. That is how the world is changed, from the inside out and the outside in. Thank you, friends, for being here. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the work that you're doing to change the world on your own terms. That's it for today. Next week, we'll meet another amazing change maker who is rising into her NESS and changing the world on her own terms. In the meantime, may you be grounded in your beingness, your nature, guided in the use of your energy for doingness that makes a difference, generous with your stories that build connectedness, and inspired in your reflectiveness so you can create a unique system that supports you as you consciously change the world on your own terms. I'm Patti Talbot. I'm always learning and playing with words that help me rise. I hope you are too.